today I'm joined by a very special guest, Mr. John Robinson from Robinsons Brewery. Hello, John.
Hi, Rachel. How are we doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, getting there.
Good. Well, thank you for joining me today. Obviously, it's quite a hot topic at the moment, what's happening with the pubs, with the hopeful opening on the 4th of July. So just wanted to have a chat to you about how it's been during lockdown, some of the changes that are obviously going to come about now. But before we start, do you want to just give us an overview of the Robinsons Brewery and how many pubs you have and all of that?
Yeah, so we're a family-led business. We have obviously our brewery in Stockport, and then we have about 250 tenanted pubs alongside the brewery. So our business has been dramatically affected by all of this. Obviously all our pubs shut in March when Boris announced the lockdown, it's been, we haven't stopped brewing for two reasons. One, we needed to keep our yeast alive, which we've been using for about 100 years now, the same strain of yeast, so we need to keep brewing to keep that going. And second of all, despite the volume falling off a cliff for the on-trade, the off-trade has done the opposite. And so we have gained a bit of volume back from the off-trade that we otherwise wouldn't have done. So it's not been a complete disaster, but the off-trade has rescued us a little bit. We are now full in our bottling hall until about October, which is good.
Wow.
But our pubs have taken the brunt, unfortunately, of this.
Yeah, of course. And when you say off-trade, that's beers at home?
Sorry, yeah, so that's the supermarkets and website orders as well. So, supermarkets orders have gone up. We don't just package or brew for us, we also package and brew for other companies as well. So it's not just our product that we're brewing and filling, it's other companies alongside.
Oh, right. Okay, so if there's kind of not enough capacity there, do you have to sort of like find out who's going to do you bottle your own beer first? And then
we look after, make sure we've got enough of our own beer first, but we will always look after our customers as much as we possibly can. But our customers are very understanding as well. We've actually got some customers back that we used to deal with that have since gone elsewhere, and they've come back to us in this, so which is nice as well. So. We're getting there. It's not too bad.
Yeah, I imagine that's quite a big problem. Actually, speaking to other breweries, they say that, exactly as you've just described, the pub industry obviously was decimated overnight, and they had to find ways to get their lovely beer out to customers. But this has been the problem, actually packaging it, and, everyone's in the same boat. So everyone's frantically trying to, put it into cans and bottles.
They are, yeah. I know big companies like Marston's, which have got huge production lines. They are full for the supermarkets as well. So, or even the big boys are struggling with the demand for the supermarket front. But hopefully we can start brewing again we've already started brewing in anticipation for the pubs to reopen. Brewing's back up now to capacity, with the assumption, maybe a very good one or not, that pubs will reopen fairly soon.
Yeah, I mean that's actually, I was reading about lots of sets of pubs have been quite anxious about the opening because it's not been a definitive date. And obviously it's not just a case of switching the lights on and opening the door, is it? There's an awful lot to get ready. So how have you kind of managed getting ready for that without knowing when they might actually open?
It's been quite tricky. We've had to go off the assumption that we're probably going to open all our pubs up from, some of our pubs certainly from the 6th of July. So, but there is lots. It's not just a question of opening up the doors. All of a sudden, you've got to find a lot of beer to fill those cellars up with. We got rid of a lot of beer. Probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we probably destroyed about just over 1 million pints of beer out of the cellars in the brewery that had gone off. So that all got poured down the drain, and that in itself isn't an easy thing to do, because you have to inform the water authorities and all sorts of stuff. So it's not just a simple task of tipping it down the drain. So not only that, so we have to get that old beer out of the cellars, which in some cellars is tricky because it's hard enough to get it in down the slope or down the drop, let alone getting it back out again. So that's been problematic. But then just in terms of, there's still no, at the moment, real guidelines in terms of what PPE needs to be issued to staff, whether they have to wear it or whether it's their choice. So how much PPE gear do you have to buy in? Also, PPE gear, it's not the most it's not around and about. It's not readily available at the moment. There's obviously a high demand for it. Price has gone through the roof as well for it. So all these things make it quite complicated. And then also we don't know how many covers we can get into the pub, where people can sit, whether we're offering table service, whether people can stand at the bar or not. So there's lots of things that we need pretty rapid answers to, so that we can start to prepare for the 4th, because until we know these things, we're guessing.
Well, that's it. And presumably to accommodate, the distance rule, whether it's going to be 2 metres or 1 metre, presumably you're going to have to sort of move furniture around, and would you have one-way systems or?
Yeah, so where possible there will be one-way systems. Where possible there'll be an entry door and an exit door. Where possible, I don't know if you can remember the days of going to TGI Fridays. They used to kind of put like a trestle table out by your table and put the tray down by the table.
Yes.
And we may have to leave that there by the table, and then the table then help themselves from that tray. Or we have waiting tables where every other table is used for the waitress or waiter to put their food down on, and then the table then get it from there. So, but until we know what we're doing, we don't know yet. We are developing a pay and order app whereby you just go into the pub, you find yourself a table and you order and you pay for that on your phone, which limits the customer contact. Actually, I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking, actually, that'd be really nice. I wouldn't have to go and queue up at the bar. I could just think, I fancy another pint. Yeah. I'd like another pint, and you tap on your phone, and then miraculously, hopefully not too long after, a pint arrives at your table. So, all these things, albeit it might be a bit of a inconvenience to begin with, might actually ultimately improve your experience at the pub. But one of the things that we try and do is, certainly in our managed estate, is try and lots of engagement with the customer and the staff. And actually, when we reopen, that's all going to be at a complete minimum. So we're going to be teaching our staff to do exactly the opposite of what we've been telling them to do for the last however many years. So all of a sudden,
it's hard,
you have to stand back. It's no, hi, how are you doing? It's kind of, it's less interaction, not more, and it kind of goes against the grain a little. But it's something that I think we're probably all going to have to get used to.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's been a lot of innovation sort of forced upon people, hasn't it? Through tech and whatever else. Things that perhaps could have and should have come earlier, but they've been forced into it now. But I think there's a lot about the experience of the Great British Pub, isn't there? That people are desperate to get back. Are you expecting sort of queues? Have you got any ways of managing?
It's difficult, isn't it? You're either going to fall into two camps. You're either going to avoid it like the plague because you just don't want to risk it, or you're going to be in there like a rat out of an aqueduct. You're going to be so it's going to go. And I think probably we're expecting about a 30% downfall in trade within our pubs, so anywhere between 50 and 30% downfall. And I think depending on how time goes and how how the summer goes, will in terms of the R rate. Also, we are very heavily affected by the weather as well. So we've got some lovely big beer gardens, and where those pubs have got big beer gardens, I think they'll be absolutely fine. But where they haven't, and if they're a small boozer style of pub, they're the ones that are going to find this tricky to open, I think, in a safe manner.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know there'll be, you say probably sort of a, slightly smaller offering in terms of drinks. You're going to be doing food as well then? Yeah,
so again, I can only really talk for our managed side of the business, because our tenants are very much their own businesses and they can do as they wish. But in our managed estate, we will be certainly starting with food. We'll have a slightly reduced menu, but only ever so slightly, because not only have you got to socially distance your customers, you've also got to socially distance your chef and your staff. And so there's only X amount of chefs you can now fit in kitchens, and so as a result of that, you have to have a slightly reduced menu to be able to get it all out in time. So there's so many knock-on effects of whether it's 2 meters or 1 meter. Actually, some of our pubs, in some pubs it doesn't make too much of a difference. The 1 meter, 2 meter work can be the difference between 3 or 4 tables, whereas in the smaller pubs it can make a massive difference. So really it's pub specific, the difference it makes. But we're launching with our full food menu. Some of our pubs, again in managed, will be launching with a slightly reduced cask range, only because we just don't know how busy we're going to be, and we may be putting an order in the next day, the day we open, but equally we may be, we don't want to be chucking any more beer away, so we're just kind of edging into it. And I think the other thing that we're doing is we're probably going to open on the 6th, which is the Monday after the proposed 4th, which is a Saturday, because I think we want to see the lay of the land and what happens over the weekend,
Right.
and edge ourselves into it slowly. This one isn't a race. It's not.
Yeah.
We don't need to be the first to open. I'd like to see how others are doing first, and then kind of go from there, really.
The potential reopening then on the 4th or for the 6th for yourselves. How's the mood with everybody about the thought of coming back to work?
Yeah, mood is good, I think. I know I was excited to get back to work after about 12 weeks off, and I think everyone's painted every wall in their house and there's not a weed left in the garden, so I think people are ready to get back to work now and get cracking. I spoke to a few people today, all very excited, hopefully to come back on the 6th, assuming we do. They're good. I think we've been quite good with our communication throughout since we furloughed a lot of staff and we closed the pubs. I think the mood is good and excited to get back, I think.
Yeah, good. And you touched upon something there. I was going to ask you about what support the landlords have had during lockdown.
So the landlords and tenants have had a rent free since Boris put us down into lockdown. So they've been rent free for the moment, and they've also obviously had their business rates frozen as well, which will be a massive help. So hopefully they will have been able to keep their head above water, and they most of our tenants live within the building as well. So they will have had their kind of food bills to pay for and their normal gas and electricity, but other than that they shouldn't have had, or hopefully not had much more kind of bills to pay, really. Hopefully they'll all be okay and come out of this in an okay financial position. But a lot of these tenants have more cash in their cellar than they do in stock than they do in their bank account. So it's for some pubs it's going to be very tight, and we will do our very utmost to support them and make sure that they can carry on with their business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that when we've been talking, you said it's cost the business a lot of money week on week while these pubs are closed.
Yeah.
Hoping that you have a very busy attendance when the pubs reopen to try and
we do. Certainly for some of our pubs, even when they're closed and we've furloughed all the staff, it costs about £1,000 a week to keep a pub shut with things. So the sooner we can get back, the better. And even if we're getting back and not even making £1,000. Even if we're making less than £1,000 loss, that's better than staying shut in some cases. So, it's hopefully though we will be okay. We're expecting about a 30% downfall in trade, and maybe more, maybe less. We just don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are literally thirsty, to come back and have that sort of pub experience, even if it is quite different. I think if you compare current, proposals for pubs versus old school pub, it's not it's quite challenging, isn't it? But when you compare it to just sitting at home nothing to do, it's a lot more exciting.
And then the other thing that people can expect to see kind of moving forward, and again we don't know how it's going to take off, is takeaways from pubs as well.
Right.
So that's another thing that people may want to go to the pub, even if it's just to grab pub grub. We're all missing a good fried chip. We're all fed up of oven chips.
Yeah.
We want a fried chip now, or a fried French fry. It needs to be fried in oil, not roasted in an oven. And so there are some things that we, there's the simple things in life sometimes, isn't it, that we want. And if people are a bit anxious about going to the pub, then hopefully maybe we can bring the pub to them, whether that's by the website with beer or with takeaway food from our pubs.
Yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. And so we've got the takeaway option from the pubs. Will they be able to physically take away pints of beer?
So it's something we're looking at the moment, and there's a quality potential issue, and we're particularly with cask that we are conscious about. We don't want really anyone to have a bad pint, so we just need to keep an eye on the quality aspect and how long it stays fresh for. There's all sorts of red tape really in terms of takeaways as well, with food poisoning and all that kind of stuff. So we just need to make sure that we can do it in a safe manner. Also things like cask, you've got a swan neck which goes to the bottom of the glass. So if you're doing takeaways and jugs that people are bringing in, you've got to make sure those containers are clean, because otherwise the swan neck's touching them. So logistically, it's a bit of a minefield really. So there is lots to think about, but it's something we are looking at, and we'll try and do. But not much worse than a flat pint of warm beer, is there? So
we don't want to be like polishing that English stereotype anymore.
No, we don't. So hopefully we've got big beer gardens. If people are waiting for their takeaway, maybe they can have a freshly poured pint in the garden or somewhere like that.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. And I think one of the exciting developments that I saw over the last few weeks was a new beer that you've had some assistance with the artwork for the label. A pub called pint called Gratitude.
It'd be a good name for a pub as well, to be fair, though, wouldn't it? Let's go. Yeah. So I think 5p a pint that we sell of Gratitude goes towards NHS charities. And we did have some help from I can't remember the person who won the competition now, but it was all via Facebook, and they could design the pump clip, and it's great design, and hopefully it's a great beer. I'm ashamed to say I haven't tried it yet, but I've not been able to get into the brewery yet. I've been working from my desk since I came back, but I'm back in the brewery on Wednesday, so I will make it one of my first things to do. We'll be going and have a sip of that beer.
I should think so. It sounds like you've got some homework to do there, John.
I know. It does. Ashamed to say.
Go and do your research with the beers before the pubs reopen.
I need to make sure it tastes okay before we sell any.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, I have just tried your Hopnik, the Citra Hopnik IPA. That's delicious.
It's good, isn't it? So that
really
did you try that
good.
in bottle?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
So we launched that in keg as well in our pub. So in the 6th of July, you'll be able to get that in on bar as well in draft, and that is good on draft as well. Really nice pint.
That is lovely. I think Citra is probably, I couldn't really name that many hops, to be honest with you, maybe 4 or 5, but Citra is one that I know very well because it's in some of my favourite beers, and it's such a distinct flavour, isn't it?
It is, yeah, very distinct. Without the risk of sounding like Jilly Goulden, there's lots of kind of grapefruit notes and all sorts coming through, isn't there, with it? So it's a good hop, it's nice. I mean, we use the thousands of hop varieties. We use hundreds from all over the world, but Citra is appearing in more and more of our beers because it is a good beer, and I think people like the taste of it as well. It's quite a good hop, and people like the taste of it as well.
Yeah. Well, it's very refreshing, and it's a good time of year, isn't it, for that sort of beer to be coming out? So I think I'm sure it'll do well.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'll let you get back to your busy day, John. Thanks for talking to me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Hopefully we can go and have a pint together soon. Together apart, with a distance.
Yeah. I look forward to it. Recommencing the 6th. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Brilliant. All right. Thanks ever so much, John.
All right. Take care. Thanks, Rachel.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.